now I am in the Sandbox lab where we need to create our Windows machine, and we look about the different sizes of ABS volume. And you can see here from the Sandbox there is a specific restriction where you can create T2 and T3 instances, T nano and to T medium only. For ABS volume, the maximum we can go is 35 gigabytes. So you keep this in your mind, and we have to use general purpose SSD. So my lab is going to be started in this, and I will wait for the lab to be ready. You can see all these restrictions later on, so you can focus on what you have to create for the lab, what kind of resources you are limited to. Now the lab status in creation, I wait. And also if you look here, you can see that you have up to 2 hours in the sandbox to spend. And this is where you will find the AWS Educate very handy. So if you want to do some experiment. Now if you go to the details, you can show whether the lab has started or not yet. Now I go to AWS, and it will ask me now, I have been signing using different accounts, so you have to log out. I could see many of you guys contacted me what they need to do. So you sign out, and then you come back to your lab and you click in AWS. Now you will see now you have signed in to AWS Management Console in a user called VOC Labs, and I will go straight away to EC2, and from EC2 I will launch an instance, and I will look for Windows. So I'll choose now Windows Server 2019, the base one, without any specific software. If I want Windows with SQL Server, for example, for my assignment, I could use this one straight away. I select it, and I could choose T2 Micro up to T2 Medium. So let's try with T2 Medium. And now the default settings in step 3, I need one instance in the default virtual private cloud. If you have your own VPC, you can adjust this. For subnetting and availability zone, we can basically leave it to default and make sure you have auto assign public IP. For storage, as the lab said, we have to go up to 32 gigabytes. We cannot exceed that in the ABS. So I could also add a volume. If you look here, we can add a second volume, and let's try to add a second ABS volume, and this will be general purpose iOS with 400,000 IOPS per gigabyte. And as I said in the class, the calculation of this is really important. Now I add a tag, and as I keep telling you, make sure you add tags just to keep this as a habit. For security in the security group, we just need a basic one where we have to activate RDP, which is basically remote desktop protocol at port 3389, and the source is going to be any IP. You could basically make it to your specific IP, and this is our public IP address here, or you can make it anywhere, which means any IP could access our instance. We review the instance. So I have now an ABS T2 medium, I have 2 volumes, and I have the port open. So if this works, it does not work because the volume. So we go back now and we edit the volume and we remove the second one. In the storage, it seems we are not allowed to add a second volume. So maybe we try with general purpose SSD. Let me try again. Okay, so I am able now to create 2 volume associated with these instances. Uh, we have to wait for the windows to come alive, and will take a few minutes. You could see now I have a public IP address and a public DNS address. I could see as well the security group. I could view the open inbound protocol, and I could see that I have an AMI, which is Windows Server 2019, and I have root device, which is basically SD1 volume, and we have a block device, which is the second 8 gig volume I add to the machine. Now my machine is running. I need to check whether I have the remote desktop file to download and to get the password. Normally it will ask me to come back again after 4 minutes. So we'll wait for a few minutes and we'll check whether the VM is alive or after a few minutes, I check the machine and I see now if I go to the connect and I get password, it will ask me now to upload the key pair, which is basically the public key. From where we need to find this vocarium.pem file from our machine. So if you go back, you have to see in the details of the lab, then you go to show, you can see there is a PIM file created for you. You need to download this PIM file, and normally it will be downloaded as a lab user. Now go back to here, choose file, and select lab user, which is basically the private key that it was given to us. Now copy the password to your clipboard and download the remote desktop file. It should be in your download folder. Open it, and it will ask you now for a password. Paste the password, continue, and now I am inside the virtual machine in the cloud. So I could see it now. This is the Windows server I create in AWS, where I could access it and use the different things I could access this machine as a normal desktop. You can also use this machine to, for example, download DBS a server. You can build a website inside it and keep it running. So if you go now to the internet to check that you have access, let's say yahoo.com. Okay, and close. So this is now my virtual machine in the cloud. The second thing I want to show you is the root volume. We basically mount to this PC two drives. So this is the local disk C, and we have to mount the other volume that we did, and I'll show you this in later lab.